Hey everybody, and welcome to the channel. As you see, I'm sitting in the car. I realize I haven't brought you all the car chronicles in a long time. I'm on my lunch break. I don't have long. I want to chat with you all for just a quick minute or two. It's the month of August. It is blazing hot in South Texas, so let's talk about the heat and the garden. Be right back. If you live in a hot climate, you are fully aware that there are limitations to what you can do during the summertime. Here in South Texas, we get an extreme amount of heat, and we tend to have that heat for months on end. We're in the month of August. I want to say today is the 22nd of August, somewhere around there. We're coming towards the end of the month, and we have had 100 plus degree temperatures this week. Last night, my neighbor called me for something unrelated to the garden. It was 9:30, and I had to step out to go across the street to her house. I happened to talk to another neighbor who came out to meet me, and we were talking about how warm it was. And I pulled up my phone because I had my phone in my hand, and I looked at the weather. The temperature was 97 degrees. It was 9:30. Now, I say this to say, I have not been able to garden the way I would like to garden this summer. Now, my garden does not look like a complete wreck. I have lost some things. Some things are thriving. I have put up shade cloth. Almost everything, not all things, are on the drip irrigation. But growing in extreme heat can be very challenging. It's 104 degrees right now. My car is reading 104 degrees, and it's 12:30. It's 104 degrees. It's midday. And so I don't know if temperatures are going to climb higher, but gardening in heat like this can be virtually impossible, especially for someone like me. I work during the day. I work sometimes long hours. I'm up before the butt crack of dawn. I'm on the road. It's still dark. I think you all have seen that in several of my videos if you've been watching my channel over the time that I've been on this platform. Every now and again, I'll show you me in the car driving to work in the morning. And recently, I did a fence project, and I was on my way to work. I think it was my fence. No, it was my shed. I was working on the shed project. I was on my way to work, and it was dark 30. That's what my mornings look like. It's black when I go to work, and it is blazing hot when I get home. I've been trying to get out in the garden at 7:30, but it's 90 degrees. And I found this week that I could only be outside for a total of 10 minutes. I was able to get just a couple of plants watered by hand that are not on drip, and I do that on purpose. Some people say, well, I don't have drip. I don't have money for drip. I don't want drip. Drip irrigation is a personal choice. Not everybody has it. Not everybody wants it. You may or may not need it. It can be expensive. It is very time consuming. It can be very tedious. But for me, what I found is the benefit of having it come on at 5 in the morning and go off 10. Yeah, I let it run for 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, and then again in the evening or every other day. It works for me in my garden. My garden in the areas where it has thrived is thriving. I don't have very much right now that is suffering. I have a couple of plants that I realized yesterday that my contractor accidentally knocked the irrigation tubing out of the pot. And when I was checking everything, because I've been checking my irrigation tubing since last weekend, going around making sure everything is functioning the way it should, 2 of those pots, those irrigation tubings, had been knocked out, and I was trying to figure out why my tree is looking this crazy. I'm checking the water to make sure the soil is moist, and then I realized after I turned the tester on, because I was testing it, that the water wasn't even in the pot. I watered it by hand several days, but it wasn't getting the constant every other day watering the way it needed, and it began to drop leaves, and I was like, oh no, we cannot. I told y'all we're not losing no more trees. Get it together, get it together. So drip is not for everybody, but if you want drip, I'm gonna add 2 videos. I made an alternative with a clay pot, and I made an alternative with a plastic bottle. It'll either be here or here. Take a look at those videos and see if that will help you in your garden. I started my drip irrigation when I lived in North Texas. It was a much smaller setup. Now that I'm in South Texas, I bought my products, my additions to that drip before I left North Texas, because I knew that I would need it. So I haven't bought very much to add to my drip irrigation. But watering is essential to the health of your garden. Keeping your garden covered up with shade is essential to the health of your garden. Feeding your plants on a regular schedule is essential to your garden. Now, I'm going to be honest, I have not fed my garden as often as I would have liked this month, because like I mentioned, it is extremely hot here. And because I live in South Texas, I'm aware of the critters that are out right now. We get notifications letting us know that, hey, we have what they call critical summer days. And so they send us notifications from my job letting us know that these are the months that the weather is going to be critical as far as the heat index. This is what you should be mindful of when it comes to the critters. We're talking about mosquitoes. We're talking about snakes. We're talking about all the things that could be out and about. Spiders are also some pests that we've been getting notifications on. Keeping your windows closed, keeping your house sprayed, keeping your yard sprayed. If you do those things are critical to your garden, to yourself as far as health and safety. And so I don't get out in the garden at night. When nightfall comes, I have to be in the house because we have rattlesnakes here. We also have coral snakes here. I had a family member who had a coral snake in their backyard. It slithered up under the shed. They put a bunch of snake away around the shed. I told them what snake away actually does. It does not kill the snake. It pretty much ticks it off because it irritates their skin. And then if not the very next day, within a couple of days or thereabout, it might have been the next day, a coral snake was found at the neighbor's house by the back door, and that neighbor, their dog alerted her of the snake, and she went out there and she killed the snake. So we do have snakes. We have snakes that are not venomous, but they can be aggressive, and you do not want to run up on a snake that is venomous. You don't want to take the chance that you could be harmed, die. And so I don't mess around with snakes. I did have a very huge snake in the garden when I was in North Texas. I was able to get animal control out to come and take it away. That snake was probably 3.5 feet long, if not almost 4 feet. It was a very long snake. Luckily it wasn't venomous, but it did not like the intrusion. And I walked up on it because it was in my greenhouse. I had a pop-up greenhouse. And so summertime gardening can be difficult. It is not impossible to garden in summer. You have to adjust how you do things. If you can get out in the garden early in the morning or late in the evening, that's a really good time to get out there to water, to weed, to feed. If it's hot like it is here, that's why I have alternative measures for watering. I have Oyas, I have the water bottles that I use. I have the drip irrigation that I use. I use those things to help me water. Now, because I have not been able to use my liquid feed, because if I'm outside more than 10 minutes, I'm profusely sweating, I get dizzy, and I'm drinking water all day long. Water sometimes with a little bit of salt in it, because you have to make sure that you're keeping your electrolytes up. I've had 2 cups of tea, no sugar, no nothing. My spouse calls it brown water. No, that's what he calls my coffee. He calls my coffee brown water, and he says I drink just leaves and water when I drink tea. So I've had 2 cups of tea this morning. I needed my green tea because I'm not drinking coffee currently. And I'm drinking my water because you need to be able to keep hydrated. But I have noticed that as I am growing more mature in my life, doing the things that I would have done 20 years ago in the garden, I just can't do. I can't be out in the garden from sun up to sundown, only taking a couple of potty breaks and maybe or maybe not eating. I can't do that. You can get dizzy, you can fall out, you can have a heat stroke. And so basically I'm just here to say gardening is not impossible during the summertime, but gardening has to be changed. You have to change how you do it. And so for me, I've had to change how I do it. The bulk of my gardening has to be done on days that I'm off work. And that includes if I've taken a day off, which I have been doing here recently. I've been taking some Mondays and Fridays off. My weekend mornings, I've had to allocate to gardening. But if I've overdone it, I have to give my garden a break, and I have to hope that what I have done to get it to where it is right now is enough in order for me to get out there when I can. But rest assured, the garden is alive. I do have some things that are suffering due to the excessive heat. We've had 2 warnings this week about extreme excessive heat, and I tried to get out there those 2 days like a silly Billy, and I couldn't do it. Like I said, 10 minutes was enough, and I was profusely pouring down with sweat, not feeling well, so I had to come inside. But just remember that gardening, you can garden if that's your choice, if that's your decision, if that's your desire. You can do it, but you have to change how your approach to it. So that's pretty much all I have. Gardening is a good outlet for you in many ways. Gardening is fun. Gardening can be work. It can be a chore, especially if you're new to gardening and you're just trying to figure it out, or if you're transitioning in your life from one age bracket to another. If you have mobility issues, you can still garden, but you have to change how you do it, from growing in the ground to growing in raised beds to growing in containers that are tall. There are many ways to grow. I grow in buckets, I grow in barrels, I grow in pots, I grow in file cabinet drawers. The file cabinet, the base of the file cabinet. I have boots that I have turned into pots. You can grow in whatever your imagination can come up with. But just remember that with every season, you have to change how you do it to make sure that you're safe out there and that you do get a crop and that you are healthy when you do it. So that's pretty much all I have today with my car. It may have been quick. I do apologize for that. As I mentioned, I'm on my lunch break, and I wanted to come out because I was sitting here eating and drinking water, and I was thinking, as I'm watching the trees over there, the wind, and I'm thinking, man, we could use a little bit more wind and maybe a little rain, which we are not going to get any rain anytime soon. So until I see you in the next video, be that Car Chronicles, in the kitchen, or in the food forest, I hope to see you real soon. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.